No matter what opposition you hear, you have got to stand strong in your faith. And I'm going to start saying this at the beginning of my videos. Before you comment, watch the whole video. So many people chime in with comments after they've either just read the title, they've seen the words that are on the screen, or they hear the first 30 seconds. You cannot do that and get the whole point of the video. Watch the whole video before you comment. I love you. You have got to stand strong in your faith. If you don't stand strong, you can be swayed by anyone and anything. I have seen so many people on here. So many people. They say what they believe in, then you read the comments and somebody disagrees and then they backtrack. They're like, oh yeah, you got a good point. Let me tell you, there is a difference in discussing what you believe with another Christian or a non-believer, but still standing your ground. There's a difference in that and giving in to someone because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings or you don't want somebody to be mad at you. If I'm stepping on toes this morning, I'm sorry, but I step on my own just as much. So I'm not trying to point anybody out, but this is the truth. If God puts something on your heart, say in my heart, the pre-tribulation rapture, I believe 1,000,000% in that because God puts it in my heart. Am I going to argue with people in the comments who don't believe? No, I'm not. But simply because I don't argue, I'm not going to let anyone sway my belief. Do you see what I mean? I'm using that as an example. If there's a certain way you believe, if you're a Christian and there's a certain way you believe and somebody believes differently, if God is putting it in your heart, you have to go with your own personal relationship with God. Do not let somebody sway you if God is truly telling you something. Does that make sense? I'm not going to be critical of anyone because I'm not going to judge anybody for their beliefs. Who am I to say that God isn't telling somebody something? But just because somebody might disagree, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I see where you're coming from, if I don't believe that. You have to stand strong in your faith. That's what faith is. That is what the whole point of faith is, believing something, believing in God, believing what He tells you, and standing strong in that. Because if you don't have a strong faith, the enemy, Satan, can sway you so easily. It's like a tree. You've got to be rooted. You've got to have deep roots like a tree. That faith has got to be deep rooted in the ground because Satan's wind is going to come. He's going to try to break you. You need to be able to sway with the wind, but you stand strong in that faith. In Ephesians chapter 4, verse 14, this is what it's like. Then we will no longer be immature like children. We won't be tossed and blown about by every wind of new teaching. We will not be influenced when people try to trick us with lies so clever they sound like the truth. Instead, we will speak the truth in love, growing in every way more and more like Christ. If you don't stand your ground in your faith and hold on, you've got to pray. You've got to pray because Satan is strong and he uses everything. He personalizes our spiritual warfare. He gets each one of us where he thinks he can get us the easiest. And if you're not grounded in God, and you don't have a strong faith and you don't stand up for it, you've got to pray. You've got to be in God's will because so many people are so easily swayed simply because they lack faith, of course, but they are so worried about what other people think. You can't be worried about what other people are going to think of you when you stand up for God and say what you believe in. You can't listen to other people. You can't let one comment on your video of somebody disagreeing with you make you question what God is putting in your heart. Because Satan will use people. They may not even know he's using them. Some people may know he's using them. And some of these comments down through here may not even be real people. It could be Satan's way of using that. You've got to think about it. You've got to be on your guard. You've got to be in God's will. You've got to pray for God to show you. Pray for God's wisdom and knowledge. He will give it to you if you are seeking Him and wanting to spread His word to other people so they can learn of Him and be saved and live an eternity in heaven. God will show you. So you will be able to tell what's right and wrong and what is from Satan. And ask God to show you. If you have a belief that's not right, ask Him to show you the true way so that you won't be confused. But you got to stand strong. You got to stay in your faith.